Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. We're talking about UFC. Ooh, what event is it? Didn't even look.
UFC Vegas 104.
UFC Vegas 104. Cool. Oh man, I forgot. What the hell's the guy we just won with last week against Pereira? I won, I should say.
Magomed
Ankalaev, yeah. Yeah, I was at my brother's house. He ordered the pay-per-view. He had like 10 friends over. Got that one, but I lost the fight before that. So let's have a good one here. We're going to go through a couple prelims, then we'll get right into the main card. So why don't you each pick a prelim? Teller, you want to go first?
Sure. We'll kick things off with the first fight of the event, which is a flyweight bout. Over in the women's side of things, we got Duben making her UFC debut. She's taking on Judice. Duben had possibly one of the biggest upsets we've ever seen, if you take into consideration the way she did it, because she hit her opponent with a massive overhand KO striking. She was like a plus 650s, plus 700 underdog, but the way she did it, getting that first round KO, was pretty crazy. Now she's taking on Judice, who comes into the UFC from Dana White's Contender Series. I think she's a little bit of an underrated fighter. She lost both of her last two fights, but if you look at the level of competition, it's something that Duben's never seen before. Almost every single one of Duben's fights before even making that Dana White's Contender Series debut were making their debuts. They were 0-0. So every girl she's been going out there and finishing, they're 0-0 fighters. She did it again on Dana White's Contender Series, but I'm not willing to bank on a woman's flyweight who carries a little extra weight and just doesn't look to be the most refined fighter. I think she's a little lucky. I don't think she's getting another knockout. I think she'll be tough enough to hang around, though. I have this fight going the distance, right? This is a women's flyweight bout. You can get this fight to go the distance right around minus 150 to minus 155. And typically these types of fights, that line looks very different. But people are actually banking on her being the next Mike Tyson, I guess.
Right. Okay. So Duben, this girl that's 6-0, she's been recording a lot of knockouts, and you're saying go the distance at minus 155. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Bill,
Judice has never been finished.
I like that too. Bill, do you have an opinion on this one, or do you want to just skip right over to your prelim?
I would lean towards Judice in the fight too as well. Duben, like on the Contender Series, she was almost plus 600 in some spots. So she picked up a knockout. I mean, women fighters aren't heavy hitters. So if you played a woman's fight to go to distance almost all the time, if it's going to be purely striking, then yeah, it's gonna go to the distance. So I like that. Minus 150 is really good for a woman's go to distance.
All right, why don't we skip over to the next prelim? Bill, where you want to go?
Are we doing the Cortes-Acosta one, Teller?
Oh, you know what? That was the one. I'm sorry about that, Bill, too. I know I mentioned that fight, and then I just brain farted. I was looking at that fight, and I just jumped into that fight. It's up to you guys if you still want to do that one too.
Yeah, let's talk about the Cortes-Acosta one.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that one, and I'll skip the other prelim that I was going to do.
We can do both if you want. But let's talk about the Cortes-Acosta one right now.
Yeah, it's Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Ryan Spann. Cortes-Acosta is a favorite right now, minus 170. Spann's plus 142 on DraftKings. Now, this is going to be Spann's first fight at heavyweight after spending his career at light heavyweight. So, as far as this fight goes, I'm on the Cortes-Acosta side.
Wait. Sorry to interrupt. Just so I'm reading this right, Cortes-Acosta 262 pounds, Spann 205 pounds. Is that a typo on ESPN?
He's never weighed in at heavyweight, so they don't know what his.
So they don't know what he's going to come in at. Okay, so yeah, he's going to come in more than likely heavier than that.
Oh yeah, he'll be
heavier.
Probably like 230, 235, something like that.
Got it.
So yeah, I like Cortes-Acosta. He's a natural heavyweight. I mean, Spann's a big guy. I think he's 6'5", so it's not like he doesn't have the frame to be a heavyweight. But it's just I know he has cardio issues, so I'm guessing that he just wants to stop cutting the weight down to 205. And he's a dangerous fighter, but dangerous early. He's got a good guillotine choke, but usually second round starts to fade. So I'm gonna go with Cortes-Acosta, and I think he could get the knockout in the second round when Spann starts to run out of gas.
So you Cortes-Acosta to win the fight, and a lean towards Cortes-Acosta by way of knockout. Teller, you agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I agree. I like what Bill was saying there. And I'll say this, though. It's kind of interesting. Ryan Spann was one of the biggest light heavyweight fighters that we've ever seen. Okay, he's like 6'5" with the 79-inch wingspan. I expect him to come in really heavy. And some pictures have already been being leaked this week, and he looks huge. So he'll be big. I mean, he'll fit into this weight class. The thing I don't like about him is even at the light heavyweight division, he gets like he moves very slow. He's kind of lethargic. He's powerful. He has some sub skills, but he gets a little stuck in the mud kind of. And I think that Waldo Cortes-Acosta has already proven to be a pretty slick mover for his size. Yeah, he has former professional boxing experience, and he's really picked up the MMA side of things recently. I like Acosta.
Cool. So both of you. All right, I'll tail on that one. And Bill, did you want to touch on that last prelim before we go to the main card?
We could just go to the main card.
Cool. All right. Well, the first fight on the main card is Vallejos versus Choi, Argentina versus Korea. Oh, wow. So Vallejos is heavy favor here, minus 725. Vallejos, am I saying that right?
Vallejos.
Oh, it is Vallejos. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just Kevin Vallejos.
Okay. Well, it's minus 725. You guys want to talk about this one? What do you like? Teller?
So this one's interesting, right? Kevin Vallejos, 14-1, just 23 years old, and that loss that he took, that was against Gene Silva, which I'm sure a lot of you guys seen Gene Silva at the press conference recently. He'll be fighting Bryce Mitchell down in Miami coming up. He's came into the UFC and he's just knocking everybody out. So that loss actually looks really good because it was somewhat of a competitive fight that went the distance. Everyone else that Silva steps in there with, he just steamrolls them. I think Vallejos is the truth. And you take a look at the next opportunity that he got on Dana White's Contender Series. He went out there and knocked his opponent out in the first round. All right, he has high-level striking. The line's really high, but what I do like for this fight is I think Vallejos is going to get a knockout in this fight. So you could look at the under 1.5. Hopefully he gets an early KO. Sang-Woo Choi has been knocked out in 2 of his last 3 fights. I think both of them were in the first round. I think Vallejos can easily go in there and just steamroll him early.
Vallejos by knockout. Bill, you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I'm picking Vallejos, and I pick him to win by stoppage too, because Choi's been knocked out by Steve Garcia. That was his last fight. Knocked out by Mike Trezano. He's been dropped by other fighters. I think he might have another knockout loss on his record. So yeah, he's Vallejos is all action, and going to hit the body, go up top, and find the finish.
Vallejos by knockout. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next fight, which is Ribeiro against Nurgozhay, Kazakhstan versus Brazil. Bill, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah. This is what is this, light heavyweight? It's a light heavyweight fight. Nurgozhay, or he's coming off the Contender Series. He's 10-0. Lines, a little wide for a guy that's untested, hasn't faced great competition. But Ribeiro's not very good. He's coming off a split decision win. But in his first fight, he was knocked out, and then he took a decision loss, and he was knocked out in another fight. So I think he's got a lot of knockout losses in his career. I think 4. Nurgozhay has power, and I think he has more durability. I mean, right now we don't know about his durability, but obviously he's never been finished. So two big boys swinging, and I'll take Nurgozhay and win by knockout.
Nurgozhay to win by knockout. He is 10-0. Teller, you agree with that?
Yeah, I like this dude, Dr. Nurgozhay. This dude, Nurgozhay, he looks pretty tough. Had a good performance on Dana White's Contender Series. He got the knockout there. He's one of those types of guys that's not like super athletic looking, but he kind of just chugs along, and you could tell there's a lot of oomph behind his strikes. I think he's very live to get a knockout here because Ribeiro's reckless. Ribeiro has shown that he carries some power. He's low level overall. But he also could potentially be a threat, even though I kind of lean towards the way of Nurgozhay being pretty tough and durable. But if we're going to do something with this fight, I guess I like the under here. I'll go another under 1.5 because I could easily see DR knocking him out in this fight.
All right. The next fight up is Blackshear Gibson. I was just going to see what the odds were to parlay those two big heavy favorites together, even though that's probably a mathematically terrible bet to make. I just needed to look, and I don't see this one. I don't see the Nurgozhay Ribeiro one open on FanDuel right now. Never mind. Thought for some reason
I'll pull that up in the back too, Kyle, if you want. I'll parlay that.
I would like to know what Vallejos and Nurgozhay parlayed together would be. I mean, it's probably still going to be an ugly ass minus 210 or something, but all right.
Yeah, on DraftKings it's minus 213.
Oh, I almost nailed it. All right, so maybe not that. Maybe I'll throw another heavy favorite in if you guys like. Speaking of heavy favorites, Blackshear minus 450. It's saying on ESPN. Bill, Blackshear Gibson. What are your thoughts?
I like Blackshear here. Not looking to obviously take his money line, but I would go for him by submission. He's a very good grappler. Gibson can wrestle, but also doesn't have great takedown defense either, and has some submission losses on his record. And he's 38 years old, I think now, and at 135, those guys start to fade at the end of their career. And Blackshear's got some youth on his side, and he's a strong grappler, so I could see Blackshear getting a submission second round maybe.
Blackshear by submission. Teller, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Blackshear, his main threat is the sub threat that he possesses, man. He has some pretty nasty subs. I think, I'm trying to remember if he pulled off a twister or something like that, but I mean, he's pretty wild with the overall sub arsenal.
Twister against Jose Johnson.
Exactly. Yeah, man, that was nasty. One of the very few we've seen. Bryce Mitchell also had one back in the day, too. It's a rare sub. I mean, but Blackshear is live to pull the sub off. We've seen Gibson struggle there throughout the years, but the one thing we've noticed, he's kind of cleaned it up over the years. If you take a look, it's been years since he's been subbed, that it kind of took place a lot early on in his career. I'm leaning towards this fight going to a decision. Blackshear's a huge favorite. I mean, I would not recommend you touch him. I think the value's in the dog. If anyone's looking for a dog to target here, the value, without a doubt, is on Cody Gibson. I think this fight could play out way more competitively than the line says. If you're looking for something a little bit more safe, you just go for the fight to go the distance, which is around fight to go the distance. I believe it is. You can catch it minus 185, minus 190 around there. It's a little high, but it's kind of safe.
Fight to go the distance, okay. And Blackshear by submission, I'm seeing on FanDuel is plus 270. All right, which fight is next? Next, we got Alexander Hernandez against Holobaugh?
Correct.
Holobaugh, yeah.
Oh, Holobaugh. All right, Teller, what are your thoughts on this one?
Kurt Holobaugh, man, he's tough. He's 38 years old. He had an initial stint with the UFC. He got released, fought in the regional scene for a while, came back, fought in the Ultimate Fighter. He actually, I believe he won the Ultimate Fighter. It's kind of funny. I actually knew he was going to win as the show was going on because, it's all pre-recorded. I guess they don't really, they're not so tight-lipped, some of these guys, right. The word leaked, you know what I mean? But he's tough, man. So he won the Ultimate Fighter. He's looked good late in his career. And I think that he still has a little bit of gas left in the tank. Alexander Hernandez, even though he's in his physical prime, I think he is somewhat of a flop. He never lived up to that initial hype after he knocked out Beneil Dariush in that UFC debut, which I think he took on short notice. He's been all over the place, a lot of ups and downs. He has a lot of suspect performances, and even as of recently, losses to fighters that I'm not that high on. And I think that Kurt Holobaugh could easily be in this fight. I like the dog value on him.
You like the dog here, and it looks like, according to ESPN, plus 170. So nice price. Bill, are we taking a shot on the dog here?
Yeah, I'm on Holobaugh. I almost always go against Hernandez when he's a favorite. He's just he wilts under pressure. He has bad cardio. The fight's at 155 now, so he fluctuates between 155, 145, goes down to 145. It depletes him. Then at 155, maybe he's not as strong. And Holobaugh, I like him. He'll push a pace. And in a dog fight, I'm going to take him.
All right. I'll take that. Big dog here, plus 170 according to ESPN. 2 fights remaining. And we got Zaleski dos Santos against Njokuani?
And Njokuani.
And it looks like Dos Santos minus 210 favorite here. I forget who went last in the last. Who went first in the last one?
I'll take this one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is going to be it should be a good striking match. Depends what Zaleski comes in with the game plan. He can wrestle a little bit, but he's a capoeira fighter. That's his base, and Njokuani is a Muay Thai fighter. So I'm going to go with the Njokuani side, the underdog, because if you watch Zaleski's last fight, not his last fight, his last loss, he fought Randy Brown, who is a tall welterweight, 6'3", just like Njokuani, and he had trouble getting through the range. And Njokuani, he's a solid fighter. He's got some takedown defense issues, but he is I believe he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So if Zaleski's coming into wrestle, then yeah, it's a different type of game plan. But if it's just going to be standing, I'll take Njokuani, who has a considerable reach advantage, I believe, in the fight, something like 7-8 inches.
Yeah, according to this, 80 inches to 73 inches, so a 7-inch reach advantage. Njokuani at plus 175. Teller, are we going back-to-back sweeps on the dog here?
No, I'm on the opposite side here. Njokuani has that reach advantage. Zaleski was just in there with Randy Brown. I thought that fight played out very closely. All judges had it 2-1, but that one round was very close. And Zaleski had about 5 minutes of control time getting a takedown in that fight. I think that's in his back pocket here for him to potentially look to take this fight down to the mat. But even in a straight kickboxing match, I mean, he shows to have fight-ending ability. He's gone out there and knocked out many people before. Knocked out Sean Strickland way back in the day. His bounce-back fight after that Randy Brown loss that he just had was against a low-level fighter making their UFC debut, but went in there and smashed him. Njokuani has had issues being knocked out. Zaleski has shown to be much more durable. I think that Zaleski, after just having that learning experience of sitting at a little bit too much at range and losing some of those rounds, I think we see him step on the gas a little bit more so here. And I just think that he has a better fighting spirit. All right, the Njokuani victory that he had in his second to most recent fight against Reese McKee, a lower level fighter, he started to kind of fade in that fight. That went to a split decision. I think that Zaleski dos Santos is just game, and I think he takes this fight one way or another.
A better fighting spirit, he says.
Yeah, dude.
A better.
Njokuani kind of. Did you guys see that Jalen Turner fight? Okay, I think Njokuani has a little bit of Jalen Turner syndrome, a little bit, if you will.
I don't get the reference, but I'm but a
kind
better
of flakes out a little bit.
So you like Dos Santos at minus 210. A better fighting spirit sold me. I'll take Dos Santos.
Like, pull up the Oleksiejczuk fight. Michal Oleksiejczuk and Chidi Njokuani. That was a recent fight where he just got smashed in the first round. That was suspect.
Now we're to the main event, and I know this guy on the left, and the reason I know him is I bet on him against Adesanya. And you could say what you want to say, but Adesanya barely hit the dude in the fight. Now, Vettori didn't really hit Adesanya at all. This is during my stretch where I've decided I hate Adesanya, was during this stretch. I watched, I think, 3 pay-per-views in a row, 3 boring fights in a row. And this guy, Adesanya, was a pretty big favorite, and it was a terrible championship fight. So I know this guy can at least hang Vettori. I don't know the guy he's fighting here, but I know Vettori is capable of hanging because he went the distance with Adesanya. I watched it. Teller.
Twice. Yeah.
Oh, he went against Adesanya twice?
Yeah. He fought Izzy way early on in Izzy's career, and then they had the rematch.
Oh, I watched the rematch. I watched the championship fight. So, yeah.
Yep.
So, Teller, what are your thoughts here?
So this is a rematch as well, right? So they just fought recently. In that first fight, Vettori had a little bit of a slow start, lost the first round, and then he kind of took over, although it was close overall. The one thing you have to note is both of these fighters have never been finished throughout their careers. Both of them showed to be very durable. This is a 5-round fight, 25 minutes. I still think it makes it to the final bell, and I think that we don't see a KO or any type of finish once again. So who's going to land the more significant strikes? Who's going to pick up the pace? Who's going to be more in shape? Dolidze's been looking good since taking that loss to Vettori. He went on a little bit of a win streak. He's looking to be a good fighter right now, even at 36. But Vettori's just 31 years old. He's had some time away from the game as of recently, and everything that I'm hearing, he's really he's pumped up to make another title run. Vettori checks off a lot of boxes. I think that he wins once again. I like him on the money line.
Cool. I like it. I like this guy Vettori because I was watching with friends who were all rooting for Adesanya, and like pissed me off, and I was I'm with that. I'm down to take Vettori with you. Bill, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm taking Vettori as well. They had their first match a couple years ago. Vettori won. He lost the first round, but he won the second two. He's had many 5-round fights, and he has no problem with his cardio. And Dolidze, when he faced Imavov, he went 5 rounds, but he gassed and wasn't doing much towards the end of that fight. And the line is interesting because I thought that Vettori would be a bigger favorite, but I guess people are buying into him having shoulder surgery, and that's what kept him out of action for a little bit. But I think he'll be fine. He throws a lot of volume and has the good cardio. Dolidze ain't going to keep up.
Let's do it. Vettori, that's the main event. Teller, in case you guys don't know who he is, in the middle, he's got a YouTube channel that's growing fast and getting some serious views over there. The content looks great. If you like the way I do my videos with the green screen and the stats on the screen, he does UFC videos the same way. So if you like my videos like that, the way I do NFL and college football and all that, you'll like his. Teller, where can they find your stuff?
Yeah, man, I'm on YouTube. Just look up MMA Fortune Teller, the MMA Fortune Teller. I'm on Instagram at MMA Fortune Teller. And I'm looking to get my camera fixed over here. We're having some issues. So if I was looking the wrong way the whole time, hopefully you guys weren't just staring at my Adam's apple. I was looking at my other camera over here.
Yeah. It probably does look kind of crazy. Something with OBS Ninja. We'll figure it out for next week. And Teller actually writes the UFC articles on the Sauce Network. So if you've been reading those UFC...
Bill, not Teller.
Oh, my bad. Bill actually writes the UFC articles on the Sauce Network. So if you have the app and you've been reading the UFC articles, you've been reading his stuff already. So that's where you can find his stuff. His Twitter is MMA Degenerate. He's not on social media much, but that's where you can find his stuff. Let's have ourselves a good weekend, guys. Thanks for coming on. Talk soon.